Hey guys, afpac from light.gg here. I've got a new feature called item comparison that I'm really excited to show everybody. So let's get right into it. If you are familiar with the light.gg database search results, you'll notice that there's a couple of new things here. First, we've got this compare button at the top and also all of these checkboxes next to each of the weapons. The idea with this new feature is that you're going to be able to create kind of a small shopping cart of items that you're interested in and then take them into a separate screen where you will be able to compare the attributes of those weapons against each other. So being able to say which one has the most impact, which one has outlaw, which one has the most RPM, and so on. So let's come up with a little bit of an example here and walk through some of the finer points of what the tool can do for you. So I'm just going to pick legendary weapons, and I just want to look at pulse rifles for the time being. So now let's pick a whole bunch so that we can get a good look of what's going on with the tool. So I'm going to pick Blast Furnace, Bygones, Shattering Bone, Go Figure, the Random Rolled Nightshade. We can throw Redrix's in there, why not? Claws of the Wolf is a little bit bugged right now, so we'll skip that one. Horror's Least, Inaugural Address, Right Side of Wrong, and the Black Armory version of Swift Ride, and that should be, yeah. So you can see that the button at the top will update with the number that I currently have selected. If I try and add another one here, we'll get a little blurb in the upper right saying that you can only compare 10 items at a time. That's just the limit for now. If we need to, we can increase that later. But for now, 10 is the limit of how many you can put in the cart at once. So once we've got our 10 selected, let's just click on the button and jump in there. So this is it. This is the new item compare, and hopefully out of the gate, it's fairly intuitive as far as what's going on. So you can see that there's the list of stats here for Blast Furnace, and then there's a bunch of plus or minuses over here to the right for all of these other weapons, and that's really the gist of what the tool is trying to do. Like in the first column, we're focused on this one weapon, and then all the other stuff is kind of comparing against it. And as I scroll down here, you can see what's going on with the perks as well. It's a similar idea where the first column is the one that we're focused on, and then everything on the right shows what they're capable of in relation to that. Okay. All right, so let's start from the top. Up here at the top of this, you've got a couple of different options as far as showing what you're actually looking at. So this first one, shows stats, gives you two options, all and different. All is the default view where it's just going to show everything, even if they're all the same. But if you want to get rid of these that are kind of pointless, where if all I'm looking at is pulse rifles that are legendary, I don't need to see that. I can tell that they're all the same. So let's just change that to different. Now it's only going to show you stats that at least one of the items in the list is different from the rest. Okay, let's switch that back to all. The second option here, show values. You can see right now it's on relative, and that means that the values that you're looking at for each of the stats are relative to the orange highlighted one. They're all relative to the first one. So looking at the RPM on Blast Furnace versus Bygones, you can see that Blast Furnace is at 450 and then Bygones is 60 less than that. If instead of seeing 60 less, you wanted to actually see that it was 390, you can change show values up here to absolute, and you can see that you still get the arrows and the coloring or whatever, but you can see the actual value for the RPM instead. Okay. So let's switch that back to relative because that's what I prefer. Next, looking at the top of each of the item icons, the X's do what you would expect. They get rid of one of the options if you're not interested in it. So if for whatever reason I decide let's get rid of, I don't know, let's get rid of Chattering Bone, you can just click on the X and you can see that it goes away. And also, since that was the 10th item, now that we have room in our cart, the add an item button shows back up. So let's add Chattering Bone back in there. Chattering Bone is now back in the list, and you can see when you add an item, it assumes that that's the one that you want to focus on. It's not. So if you want to change the item that all the math is being done against, the other icon here in the gray bar, the little crosshair tells the tool to focus on that item, and that makes it will shuffle to the front of the list, and all of the math will be done against it instead. Okay. Working our way down, so these three checkboxes here kind of let you decide what you actually care about seeing. So if you don't care about these top 5, the item type through the ammo type, you can just uncheck attributes and those will disappear. If you also just care about the perks, you can uncheck the stats, or if you just care about the stats, you can uncheck the other 2 and so on. For now, I'll leave all 3 of them checked just so we can look at them. Next, over here on the left, each of the stats or attributes or perks or any of the columns in the left, you're able to click on those to basically sort the list by that stat, right? So if you want to know, which pulse rifle of these 10 has the highest RPM, you can click on the RPM stat. But clicking it first will do least to greatest, so you can see that the lowest RPM is Redrix's broadsword, but then if I hit it again, it will switch from greatest to least, and you can see that the highest RPM is Horror's least, and then down from there. And as you can see, the whole list is shuffled around to adjust that. And you can do that for any of the items in the list on the left. When you get down into the perks and stuff, it will just shuffle the ones that have it to the front if you click on it, and then when you click it again, it gets rid of that sorting. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the perks down here and the color coding. So if you're familiar with the God Roll Finder feature, the color coding is the same here as it is there. The red means that the perk is only available on a curated roll. The blue means that it's only available on a random roll. The new thing here is that if it is available on both a curated and a random roll, instead of showing 2 bubbles, I'm just going to show you 1 that's purple. So put blue and red together and you get purple. And that's really all that's going on here. For everything down to traits, it's really just a yes or no, like can it roll on that weapon or not, because if it can, it's going to be in the same position on all weapons of that type, generally speaking. Like barrels almost always show up in column 2, intrinsics almost always show up in column 1, and so on. So let's just get that all down here to the bottom of traits. With traits, the column does actually matter. So like for Blast Furnace, being able to figure out can this weapon roll with Outlaw and Kill Clip, you need to know what columns those perks are capable of rolling in. So for Kill Clip, we can see that Blast Furnace can randomly roll with Kill Clip in column 5, and then we come down to Outlaw, and we can see that it has both a curated and random roll for Outlaw, and it's in column 4. So with those 2 pieces of information, we can tell that yes, there is an Outlaw Kill Clip version of Blast Furnace. And similarly, like we were looking at above, if you want to focus on any of these perks, you can. If you click on Feeding Frenzy, you can see only Blast Furnace is capable of rolling with Feeding Frenzy. Same thing with Desperado, as you would expect. Only Redrix's Broadsword is capable of rolling with that, and so on. A few other things just to mention on this. This does also work with armor. You can, if you want to, cross weapon types, right? So let me just make some room here, and I can add in like Uriel's Gift if I really want to. Not sure how useful that is, but maybe somebody out there can think of a use for it that I haven't. So I left it in there in case somebody would find it interesting. So yeah, that's really the gist of the feature. The intent here is to make it so you can pick some of your favorite items and see the differences between them. And as new items come out with new patches, we'll be able to quickly load those into our favorite comparisons and see kind of categorically and quickly whether or not it's better or worse than what we're used to using. So anyway, let me know if you guys like it. Leave a comment down below. You can follow us on Twitter by clicking the Twitter link at the top of the Light.gg header, or also joining our Discord server by clicking the icon next to that. Also, if you like Light.gg and want to get rid of some ads, you can support us on Patreon. And as always, thanks for using the site. I appreciate everybody's support.